Okay, this is questions that you may have asked in your life that you may or may not know the answer to. The first question, or the first two questions is, who am I? And why am I here? What is my purpose in life? You know, is this all there is to life? Well, the answer to that is you're never going to know who you really are until you know who God really is and his will for you. Because without God, we're just lost. We're blind. Because, see, God is light. In 1 John 1:5, it says, God is light, and in him is no darkness at all. But we are in the world, because of our sin, we're in darkness. So we need God. So without God, that's why we are lost. And we don't know why we're here. So your purpose as a sinner, as a lost person, is to seek that truth of who God really is and to find the truth. And then you'll know why God has you here. And then once you know the truth about who God really is and why you're here, your purpose is to spread that truth to other people who are lost. So now, the next question that a lot of people ask, well, is there really a God? Well, yes, there is. In Isaiah 45:5, God says himself that I am the Lord, and there's none else, there's no God beside me. And in Romans 1:20, right here, it says, for the invisible things of him from the creation of the world are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made, even his eternal power and Godhead, so that they are without excuse. So creation itself is proof that God exists. You know, your house, your bag, your shoes, they all have a creator. You know, Rockaway, you know, somebody created it. So why is it hard for you to believe that you were created? Nothing just comes into existence. There has to be a creator. So creation itself is proof of that there is a God. The next question is, well, where am I going? You know, what's after death? That's a very good question, because most people fear death because they don't know what's on the other side. But we're all going to get there eventually. Hebrews 9:27 says, after death, there's judgment. We're all going to be judged on what we think, what we say, what comes out of our mouth, what we do, even things that other people don't see, and then we don't think other people see. God sees it all, and he knows our hearts, and we're going to be judged on that. And if you reject Christ, you know, it's either you're going to hell. You know, it's either heaven or hell. There's no in between. A lot of people don't want to believe that, but salvation is a choice. So what's after death is judgment, and it's either heaven or hell. And hell is for those people who have rejected Christ. Well, now some people would ask, well, why would a loving God send us to hell? You know, well, why would anybody reject the love of God? You know, if you do a crime in this world, you have to pay the punishment. So with God, it's the same thing. We have to pay the penalty for our sins. And in Romans 6:23, it says, for the wages of sin is death. So we have to pay that cost by going to hell. But we don't have to go to hell, because, see, God did something wonderful for us by becoming a man and dying for us, shedding his blood for us. But like I said, it's a choice, and you have to receive that like with any other gift. If I give you a gift, you can't try to pay for it by trying to live good and doing good. You just have to accept that gift, because if you try to pay for a gift that I just bought you, it's an insult. Another thing is, how can you believe in a God who you haven't even seen? Well, God is a spirit. John 4:24 says God is a spirit. So you can't see a spirit. And but you can see God through Jesus Christ. And it's like the wind. You can't see the wind. How you know the wind is real? Well, you see the effects of the wind. When the leaves blow, you know that the wind is there. It's the same thing with God. I know God is real in my life because of things that he's done for me. You know, God makes himself real to people who seek after him. And he knows who's really seeking him and who's really just looking for miracles and a quick fix. And another thing is, I can believe in a God who I haven't seen by faith. You know, that's the crux of Christianity, is having faith. And Jesus says we're blessed because we haven't seen. And another thing is, just logically, let's take, for example, George Washington. You haven't seen him. You know, how do you know George Washington really existed? You really trust in what you believe, you know, through your textbooks and everything, because it's a history book. Well, the Bible, isn't that a history book? And it talks about God. It talks about Jesus. The next question is, well, there's so many different religions and there's so many denominations. How do I know which one is right? Well, the difference between all religion and real Christianity is works. Mostly all religions believe that you can get to heaven by living good and doing good. But Ephesians 2:8 and 9 says, we're saved by grace and not of works, lest we should boast. You know, this person could do more works than you. But like I said, salvation is a gift given to us by God. So we're saved by grace and not of ourselves. And another thing with religion is bondage. They have a whole bunch of do's and don'ts. And with Christianity, it's freedom, it's liberty. God has rules, but his rules are to keep order and to keep us from harm, you know. And it's a personal relationship with Christ. It's not about going to church and dressing up in appearance. It's a personal relationship with Christ. And the last difference between religion and Christianity is sin. I don't care how righteous you may seem, how disciplined a person may seem who go to church, they still have sin in their life. And the difference between people in religion and Christianity is that if you're born again, you cannot sin. And I love to use this verse in 1 John. 1 John 3:9 says, whosoever is born of God doth not commit sin, for his seed remaineth in him. And he cannot sin because he is born of God. So if you're born again, if you're truly born again, you cannot sin. You don't have the desire to sin. Another thing is, well, I don't believe in hell. So therefore, you know, it don't exist. Well, that's wrong thinking. Because see, if you don't believe in gravity, if you jump off this bridge, guess what? You're going to die, whether you believe in it or not. So it's not about whether you believe in God or you believe that he died, that Jesus is God. Truth is truth whether you believe it or not. It's about the truth. And the Bible says that Jesus is the truth, the way, and the life. So anything outside of Jesus is a lie. So it's not so much whether you believe in hell. It's just about what's true. And deep down inside, you know it's really true. And that you could be going there. Another thing is, well, what about people in other countries who haven't necessarily heard the truth? Well, you're hearing the truth. Don't worry about those other people. You hearing the truth, so what are you going to do about it? Nothing. If you're so concerned about them, why don't you get saved and you go over there and you preach to them if you're really concerned about them? Don't use that as a scapegoat. And then God, he's just. He gives everybody opportunity to come to the truth before they die. So those people are hearing the truth despite what you may believe. And then most people, another question is, well, Christianity is for old people. You know, I'm still young. I still got a lot of living to do. Well, tomorrow's not promised for anybody. And if you're young, God can use you while you're young. Don't wait till you're old and crippled. You can't do nothing to then get saved, you know. You know. Another thing is, you know, well, there's so much evil in the world. How can God really be real? Well, by saying there's evil in the world, that's just proving that we're a world without God. That's because we don't have God, and it's because of our sin that this world is so evil. And the last thing is, well, I love Jesus. I'm his biggest fan. A lot of people say that, but they don't have him in their life. They're not sanctified. They're not born again. They're not obeying. Jesus says, why call you me Lord, Lord, and do not the things that I say? You know, to love Jesus is to obey him. So although you may believe in him, are you living for him? Is he your Lord? Is he your master? Do you believe? Do you do the things that he say? Because that's what's most important. The devil believes in Jesus. He believes in God, but he's not a Christian. He's not living for him. So you can't just believe. You have to confess as well. So that's my message to y'all. Send your comments, and that's about it.